What up, everyone, and welcome back to Lost in the Amazon. I am your host, GD, and today we will be doing a video review of Dishonored. Now, before we get into gameplay, Thief. Now, as before, if you gotta go turn in a paper, you finally have to sit down and watch Pride and Prejudice, or you're being chased by a honey badger, I understand. I give this game a 3 out of 5 stars. A very average 3 out of 5 stars. But if you can stick around, I want to talk to you about why I think this game is pretty average. So, without further ado, gameplay. Welcome to Thief, ladies and gentlemen, where you take up the role of the master thief Garrett, out to dispense justice to those who have wronged him. And while that sounds like a great story to get lost in, does Thief deliver that stealth, first-person experience we would all hope it to be? So when it comes to gameplay, let's dive right into what the stealth in this game is all about. From a game that's title is Thief, I expected something a little more unique. There are mechanics like, broken glass on the ground, if you walk over it, it'll give away your position. You can throw a bottle to distract an enemy. And, there is the PS4 light bar that if you walk in the light, it will light up. But I've seen these things before, which makes the stealth gameplay in Thief pretty forgettable. I also found mechanics like lock-picking and puzzle solving to be a bit lacking in ambition. In general, the systems were find the button, press X, which is really a shame because things like painting locks could have been something really special. Although I have my complaints with the stealth system in Thief, the free-running system worked very well. It was very free-flowing and fun. Jumping from ledge to ledge and, dodging guards was very easy. Though it makes me feel evil saying this, I think when the stealth system is really working at its best is when you're breaking into houses. Stealing jewels and necklaces from wealthy businessmen while avoiding guards is really when the stealth system shines. There is a combat system in Thief, but it's a bit unbalanced. Usually if you're spotted, it will result in you being killed, even if you're only taking on one guard. Which is really a shame because Garrett has an awesome loadout. Fire arrows, choke arrows, water arrows, this stuff's the best, but you can never really use them to much effect. This may have been to encourage players to take a more stealth approach, but if you're going to cater to both playstyles, like Thief tries to do, then both playstyles need to have benefits. Something that I think could have worked very well for Thief, and I think it was something that they were onto, was letting the player choose how they want to approach an objective. If you want to go down into the sewers and sneak around your enemy, or you don't want to take that indirect approach and you want to just charge in and kill, then those mechanics are in the game. However, to give those choices any form of weight, there needs to be some kind of consequence in gameplay or in story. And in Thief, there simply isn't. You will end up in the same area with the same cutscene, regardless of the choices you make, which makes free objective approach rather pointless. Nevertheless, I did enjoy seeing my overall performance and statistics at the end of a mission, being filed into Opportunist, Ghost, or Predator, which was something that I don't think you can do unless you have that free approach objective gameplay. There is a store system in Thief, but I found it to be rather meat and potatoes, very simplistic. You can buy arrows and upgrade your equipment, nothing you really haven't seen before. There also is a level up system, coming in the way of intuition points that you can file into different categories, ranging from quieter footsteps or finding better loot. But I found the system to be quite basic. It would have been much more deep and complex if the intuition related back to the categories Opportunist, Ghost, and Predator, the categories that the game files you into at the end of each mission, making a player's specific playstyle relate back to how they level up. I think my favorite part of gameplay was watching the clock tower come to life. The clock tower is your resting point in between levels. Here, Garrett can stash loot for future missions, and also view the collectibles he has stolen. Inevitably, the longer you play, the more collectibles you will have, which will transform the broken down, rugged clock tower into your forward base, which was something that was very neat to experience. Environment and atmosphere in Thief are rather simple. Environments include murky backwater streets, the mansions of wealthy society, and deep dark catacombs. And while that does sound like a diverse environment set, I couldn't help but feel that I had been to these places over and over and over again. This may have been in part to the traveling system. You are constantly journeying from one end of the city to the other end of the city, and rarely does it have anything to do with plot. I can't tell you how many times I had to backtrack just to get equipment, because opportunities to buy equipment on the way to a mission are non-existent. Getting to a mission itself is painstaking. You journey through at least 3 different areas with 3 different load screens attached to them every time you want to take on a new mission. Thief is a great example of why open world sometimes does not work to the benefit of the player. The one redeeming thing I will say about the atmosphere is that the costuming and the art design were done very well. They bring a very unique flavor to the table, and is something that I can say is very uniquely Thief. When it comes to the story of Master Thief Garrett, after an hour, I was completely bored with the plot. I don't think this was a fault of the storytelling as much as it was the character Garrett. I found his attitude to be very nonchalant and dismissive of most of his problems. And if the main character doesn't seem to care, then why should I? Let's talk about bugs and stuff I really hate about Thief. When it comes to Thief's graphics and how well it runs, this game is all over the map. Textures will constantly pop in right when you load into an area, and some cutscenes look like they were intended for the PS2, which is weird because some cutscenes look great. It's just a mess, and frankly, it does ruin some of the segments of the game. There was a few times during gameplay where I would fail objectives, not because I would die, but because I went about doing the mission the wrong way. But the game never made it clear to me what I was doing wrong. I simply was issued a "you failed the mission" without any explanation. This is infuriating, because if you don't know what specifically you're doing wrong, you can't make adjustments. I think a really big question is, will you regret buying this game? If you're between awesome titles and you aren't expecting much, just a 10-hour playthrough of some game, then you probably won't regret purchasing Thief. But if you're looking for the next big title with awesome character, plot, and gameplay mechanics, and you really want to sink your teeth into something with 40 plus hours of gameplay, then don't buy Thief. Go buy Dishonored, the game that this game should have been for the next gen. Well guys, that sums up about everything I wanted to talk about when it comes to Thief. My final verdict is that you pay below $15 for this game. This game really isn't breaking any new ground or showing us things we haven't seen before. It's one of those games that you're going to play once, chuck away. Well guys, I hope this review was helpful. If it was, leave a thumbs up. If it wasn't, leave a thumbs down. You can track me on Amazon, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lost in the Amazon. If you have any feedback or you want me to do a review for you, leave it in the comments. And as always guys, happy shopping.